Creating a truly cursed Europe is perhaps the most noble of any goal in CK3. The medieval politics of the Western continent leave a lot of opportunities for chaos, and today we're going to be doing our very best to split the glorious English kingdom into as many pieces as possible. You thought the Carolingians were bad? You haven't seen anything yet, my friend. Check out the previous videos in this series if you want to see how we got in this position, by the way. Card in the top right. Today we begin with William IV, who famously murdered his own father, William, for a claim to Italy. He's 18 and has one son. This son is not named William. Everyone meet Jacques. His mother is one of the daughters of the King of Castile, which we'll almost certainly be using for some shenanigans later. I'll be honest, as I was playing this character's life, I really wasn't sure where to go with him. I didn't want to just meritocracy the Byzantines or anything, because that does eventually get old, and I didn't want to form the HRE again, or become an empire, because then it would just be too easy. I considered forming the North Sea Empire, since Norse was still in the early medieval period, but they were quickly progressing to the high medieval period, which would have made it impossible. I knew I definitely wanted to get my family onto Castile's throne, so I started some murder plots against the Jimenez over there. Oh, did I say some murder plots? Let's just say many children met their maker as a result of my Iberian ambitions. Once King of Castile died, his kingdoms were split amongst his daughters in almost the exact same way as the Jimenez split in 1066. Navarra in this case had a little more land than usual, as did Aragon, but it was genuinely a bit uncanny how exact the split was. The Queen of Galicia was my wife. She was the youngest, so in order to get her to inherit the thrones, I'd have to eliminate all of her sisters, nieces, and nephews. We'll look back at that later when more progress is made. In the meantime, my vassals decided to rebel against me, which was a huge mistake on their part because they allowed some populists to join them. This simply meant I would chase down the rebels, stack wipe them, and then win the war against the entire realm just like that. I wonder if this will ever get changed, given that it is entirely broken how vassals across the realm will simply choose to enter prison and lose everything if their leader is captured. Either way, I spent quite a while revoking everything from every criminal in the realm, and then granting their old land to some proper new Normans. Beyond that, William spent almost all of his youth murdering Spanish women and children, followed by fighting off his vassals, and then systematically replacing them with his own people. I don't mean to put him down, but he didn't do a whole lot since I was still thinking of what I wanted to do with him. It was then that I realized the best possible play was pure anarchy. The plan is to have as many sons as possible and simply allow partition succession to do its thing. Letting the realm split is actually pretty good, since each of the kings of my family will be generating immense renown due to their court grandeur starting off at max, because mine is at max, and each of them being an independent king. There's no better way to send off the de Normandies than to have them completely dominate Europe, right? Who cares about a silly empire? Around here, it's all about family. The only thing is, I can't control which kids get which kingdoms, so this family split of land is going to be entirely based on the whims of RNG. I'm very excited. Let's get into the way I planned out the split. Since I was already in the process of removing the Spaniards from their thrones, we're going to have a little mini partition down in Iberia that I was quite excited for. My wife and I have, for now, one son, Jacques. That would simply mean all the kingdoms would fall into Jacques' hands once my wife died, but that would be far too simple. My wife got pregnant during my murderous rampage and eventually gave birth to William, who can only be described as a monster. I swear to you this was not scripted. The first William to be born for this character had a broken face mesh, and I just can't really think of a way that this could have been any better, to be honest. Either way, we've got two sons now, Jacques and William. They will be the new masters of northern Spain. The only obstacle left for my children is my wife, who is queen of the 4 kingdoms of northern Spain. Unfortunately, I had to kill her while she was pregnant, so that's a double kill, I guess.
UAV online.
Jacques rules Castile and Navarra, while William rules Galicia and Leon. I'll be allying both of them and doing my best to keep them on their thrones. Remember that these guys will be inheriting even more kingdoms themselves once I die, so this will only get more and more disgusting. For now, things look fine, so it seems. Today on the Crusade Roulette, can you guess where we're going? Pause the video and comment where you think, or look for a comment that already said it, and upvote it. I'll give you 2 seconds. We're going to Morocco today, boys. I genuinely don't know why we're not going to Jerusalem.
I can't take this shit no more, man.
But again, I'm cool with easy crusades I can throw my family onto. I chose some guy named William for Morocco. He's Gaelic by culture for whatever reason, but that's fine. He's part of my family and he's named William. I looked around a bit for where else to expand and ultimately landed on Denmark and Norway. This is part of my thought to maybe make the North Sea Empire, but I already knew it was too late to. I think I conquered them out of boredom more than anything else. Regardless, I used the Sanction Loopholes perk to buy claims to every county in the kingdom, using the piety I got from various pilgrimages and from the Crusade. I was able to conquer all of Denmark and all of Norway in just 2 wars, adding them to my list of partitionable kingdoms. I also made sure to put new Normans in charge of the entire region. This is a great strategy, by the way. If you want to completely win over a whole region in one war and take all its counties so you can redistribute them yourself, just get a hell of a lot of piety and then claim everything that you want. All you need is the divine right innovation to be able to push everything at once. Anyway, at this point, I have done all the conquering I wanted to do. It's time to focus on family, as we Williams so often do. Only problem here is that I can't seem to produce enough kids. There's really only one way to fix that. It's time to embrace polygamy. I'm going to create the Anglican Church real quick, except this time it's not about divorces, it's about extra marriages. Also, it's way earlier than the real one. I went ahead and created the new faith with tolerance in mind, as I can't be bothered to convert everything. We're going to tax non-believers, be adaptive, and pursue power. I like pursuit of power for this scenario because it'll make the fractured successor kingdoms more chaotic, to say the least. We're going to keep everything else mostly the same, except I'm allowing kinslaying, because it's very useful to be able to kill your family. Beyond that, spiritual head of faith, temporal evocable bishops, and we'll choose a yellowish color just because I think yellow looks nice, I guess. Now that we're polygamous, it's time to get a ton of wives and seduce all of them. We're going to make an absolute ton of kids. Also, we've got to get Rome back, since I gave it to the Pope in order to get piety. This would be a quick holy war, nothing to worry about. Interesting note, by the way, my two firstborns, Jacques and William, who are foreign kings in Spain, are still Catholic because they actually rule land outside the realm. Looks like we'll be back to Catholic on succession, most likely. Beyond holy warring the Pope, I also conquered the rest of Italia, including Venice and Sicily, so that I could dismantle the papacy. Interesting to note, by the way, that when you dismantle the papacy, it doesn't actually go away, and instead goes off to some insular Christian abbot who becomes the arch-abbot of the papacy, the head of faith for insular Christians. Weird. I didn't know that actually until today. With the Pope gone, the majority of Europe conquered, and William entering his 60s, it's time to watch the fireworks. I had 11 sons total. Let's go over each of them and the land they rule now that William has passed away at 64. Meet Jacques Guillenès. Seems he adopted Castilian culture while ruling Castile, which is pretty funny, I've got to say. He's diligent, temperate, and ambitious, and I can't think of a better set of traits, honestly, except maybe stubborn. Special note that he is a witch. He rules over the Kingdom of Castile, Navarra, England, Pisa, and Badajoz. Next up, we've got William of Galicia. He is shy, honest, and paranoid, as well as a raving lunatic. Makes sense given he was born without a face and all. He has stayed true to the new Norman culture, and he rules over Galicia, Leon, France, and Wales. He also has acquired a face. I wonder whose face that is. Third, we've got King Engelbert, who is generous, diligent, and arrogant. He rules over Aquitaine and Italy. Doesn't seem to be anything special about him so far, but he's young. He'll make a name for himself eventually. Fourth, we've got King Arnaud of Lotharingia and Romagna. He is wrathful, diligent, and chaste. Not much of note for him either. Fifth, we have King Burchard of Germany and Sardinia. He is de jure King of Sardinia, but certainly not de facto. He's impatient, temperate, and lustful. Sixth, we've got King Gosselin of Burgundy and Denmark. Interesting way to split the land there so far, game, not gonna lie. He's still young, but he's greedy and paranoid, so that seems like a truly nightmarish character to play. Next up is King Hugh, the dwarf child of Bavaria and Norway. Again, nice kingdom split. I love the chaos so far. He's a bleeder and a dwarf, but I'm cheering for him. I bet he'll go far. We've also got King Geoffrey of Frisia and Sicily, who's got a lisp too, so I suppose he's the Louis the Stammerer of this family. Next up is King Wolfram of Brittany and Ireland. He's too young to comment on, but at least he's an herbalist. Let's see what kind of man he becomes. He rules the Goidelic lands, it looks like. Now we're heading into the truly infant kings. Here's King John of Bohemia and Scotland. This must be Welshman's kid. He's named John after all. Nothing of note for him for now. Last but not least, well, maybe least, we've got King Rutger of Pomerania. Just Pomerania. There weren't enough kingdoms to give him a second one. He's barely out of the womb, but I have faith that he'll go places. It's important to note that all of these kings have pursuit of power and claims on each other's thrones. I'm genuinely really curious to see how this turns out. I'm going to mostly stay out of it and let the family fight it out. It would be boring to just reconquer it all immediately as Jacques here. We'll have to see how the family feud turns out on the final episode of the William de Normandy Giga Chad guide. It's going to be more of an observer game to see the final outcomes, but I'll do a few things here and there perhaps. Either way, I hope this video was enjoyable for you. Like and subscribe, check out the Patreon to see me learn German, and check out my Twitch for live speedruns and viewer requested runs. You can ping me in Discord to peer pressure me into streaming. Thank you for your time.
So 10,000 likes.